And welcome back, my loves, or welcome if you're new here. Well, I finally got a new computer, as you can probably tell, and so there's no more sneaky lunchtime builds at work. Which is, to be honest, is a good thing because this one, I'm embarrassed to admit, has actually took me just over 7 hours to build. It was originally meant to be a quick little build for a single caravan or a holiday home or whatever you want to call it. But it's somehow turned into a holiday park with 6 caravans, an owner's home and an entertainment building. Maybe one day I'll actually be able to sit down with an idea for a quick build and just stick to it. Maybe. Okay, so far I've built the shells and I've started working on the guest reception area, which will also have what could be a sort of gift shop. I've made this build with the Businesses and Hobbies pack in mind, but I suppose it could be adapted to use with for rent as well, if you wanted to go down that route. Turn the caravans into residential rentals, I think it is, in the for rent, isn't it? So now I'm working on what will be the park owner's or caretaker's home, which is a 2-bedroom family home. But the second bedroom could be converted to a home office or gym or some sort of hobby room if you don't want to play the family angle on it. The home itself is pretty basic, but it covers all the sort of basic needs. And I don't know why, because it's not something I usually do, but for some reason most of this build I have done the building without putting the lights in first, which is normally the first thing I do. But anyway, like I said, the home is quite small, but I figured that if your sim gets bored, they can always use the sort of entertainment area because there's plenty to do in the park. Oh, and I'll warn you now, there's a lot of clutter items in this build, so I'll apologise in advance in case it maybe slows down your computer if you download it, you know. And I will also apologise for the number of packs used. I haven't uploaded it yet, so I'm not sure exactly how many I've used, but I'm guessing there's quite a few. So, sorry. One day I will do a limited pack build, I promise. For the most part, I've made this home look quite dated. My thinking was that the park was built back in the 70s or maybe the 90s when there was a bit of a 70s revival going on, and much of the decor hasn't been touched since then, or it could just be that they haven't updated the house because they've put all the money back into the business. The kids' room is probably the only sort of modern looking part of the home, and as you'll see once I get to that part, it's quite dark, I know that, but again, thinking of a sort of backstory, I built this room for goth twins. So, but I've put a kids' crafting table in here. But if you wanted to make it twins, not twins, teenagers, sorry, you could swap it out for a painting easel or something else that the older children could do. So yeah, it's quite dated. Even the carpets and things like that are kind of old-fashioned looking. But like I said, it's small but practical. It gets the job done. And finally, we're about to start doing the actual caravans. I did use floor plans for real caravans off of Pinterest. But as someone who spent quite a few years living in caravans when I was younger, they seem a lot longer than any of the ones that I remember. That was a while ago, so my memory might not be what it was. And again, building with no lights. I don't know what I was doing with this. Oh well, never mind. I've basically kept the layouts for them all pretty much the same, which I thought would make it easier for me to furnish, but I think it actually made it a bit more difficult. I found it very repetitive and it was so tempting just to make them all look exactly the same and get it done. But I decided to try and give them a slightly different look. I built this as somewhere that you could basically run as a small business, or as somewhere that you could take your sim on a pretend holiday. I know that there are vacation lots already in the game, but I'm not a big fan of them because there's nobody else there. You can't really get to do anything. Well, there's things you can do, but there's no real interaction. And I just loved those little paper lantern lights. They're so colourful, so fun. At least I thought they were until I realised the poles were sticking up through the ceiling. At first I thought I could maybe hide them by placing objects on top, but then I realised that wasn't going to work. So eventually what I ended up doing was resizing them and sized them down once, and that fixed the problem. In fact, it actually worked out for the best because it meant that I could fit more of them around the place, which was kind of cool because I really like them. Now, like I already mentioned, I wanted to give this place sort of a dated look, something like the facilities had been updated over the years, but not the decor, if that makes sense. So with that in mind, I opted for a kind of funky looking carpet because it just reminds me so much of the community centres and holiday parks that I used to visit as a kid. And as a child of the 70s, I was there when all this stuff was new and cool. Now it's kind of retro and cool. Or is it vintage? I don't know. What is the difference between vintage and retro anyway? But getting back to the build, I've added a few games that I think are grouped together as pub games when you're selecting the business activities, because you can only get to add 5 activities. So the good thing with ones that are grouped together is that they will give you multiple things under one listing that your Sims can do. So it's kind of a good workaround to give them other things that you can get on with. I've also added summer activities to cover things like pool and water balloons. This food area took me a lot longer to get right, before I was happy with it than what I thought it would. I wanted plenty of options for meals, but I also had to come up with a way that they could buy them. I'll go over it all in more detail when I give you a tour at the end, but basically the plan is for your Sims to buy and eat their meals here. I'll also test it out before I upload it to the gallery and make sure that if any tweaks are needed, I get them done before I upload it. So if there's a difference between what you see here and what you get to see when you download it, just know that it's been to make sure that the thing actually works for you guys. Alright, so onto the caravans. Again, they're pretty basic, but if you've ever spent a holiday in a caravan, you'll know that they are pretty basic anyway. Or at least the ones that I spent time in were. The last one being back in 1998. And yeah, I don't even want to know how many years ago that was. I'm old, I get it, okay? So, like I said, they're all pretty much the same, but some of them have more comfortable beds and couches than others. Yeah, again, more details over the tour at the end. I don't show you me building all of the 6 caravans because there's no point in making you guys suffer through it. It was boring enough for me to do. You don't have to watch all that. I'll show you them all at the end so you can see them. Where are we now? Oh yeah. Yeah, this was getting around to doing most of the other ones. I'm still trying to figure out how much to actually put in these videos. I'm trying to gauge what you might want to see and what you might not. It's a learning process, but I think I'm getting a bit better with each video. It's, yeah. I just wanted to say though that I do appreciate your patience while I try and figure all this out. I've been building for a while, but recording and editing, especially doing these voiceovers, it's new territory for me. And as someone who usually doesn't talk much, I'm really struggling with these voiceovers, as you can probably tell. And on the subject of the voiceovers, I'm aware that a lot of people struggle to understand the Scottish accent. I have tried to be clear on here, or as my daughter has pointed out to me, you've got your telephone voice on in those. But if I'm talking too fast or anything like that, just let me know and I'll try and work on it. I did bring in a random sim to kind of test out that the beds and things in the caravans were all accessible and functional, which I'm pleased to report they are. And the bit where I've cut out the rest of the caravans getting furnished is coming up soon. And then I'll move on to the landscaping, if you can call it that. It was really just me slapping down some terrain paint and adding a couple of plants here and there just to kind of make it look like it blends in a little bit better. I don't usually build in desert worlds, so again this was out of my comfort zone. I really wasn't sure how to go about it, but I thought I'd give it a shot anyway. I'm much more comfortable doing the sort of grassy areas. At least I know what I'm doing there. I know how to blend them in and make them look reasonably natural. But this was a bit more challenging for me, definitely. And I'm just hoping that it looks okay. I know it won't look great, but I'll settle for okay in this case. I really just kind of used some of the plants that I could see in the surrounding areas to hopefully blend it in. Make it look like the park actually belongs there. If you download this kind of build though, I'm guessing that you like playing in desert worlds. Or maybe you're just like me and prefer the grassy worlds, but like to send your Sims to sandy places on holiday. Or do you prefer the concrete jungle environments of the city worlds? I honestly really would love to know if you let me know in the comments, because apart from anything else, that will help me work out which sort of builds you guys might want to see in future videos. Okay, so we've just got a little bit more terrain paint here and placing down the palm trees and the succulents, and then we'll go on to a tour of the place. I know it can be hard to see all of what's going on in these videos, especially when they're sort of going so fast and zooming around in quite a large lot like this one is. I think I've actually kind of messed up the terrain paint on these ones, to be honest. Especially round about the trees. It really doesn't look natural. But if you've got any tips on how to make desert ones look better, you know, if you've done them yourself or if you live in that kind of area, let me know how to make these work, because I would like to do that. Never know, I might actually do another desert one at some point, but we'll see. Right, so here we go with the little tour then. I'll try and not make it too long. So first off, you can see I have sectioned off certain areas. Most of it is public. The house generally is this bit up here, private, that's strictly for the family. Downstairs I've made the kitchen accessible for the staff so that they can get in and grab a quick bite to eat and get a drink of coffee, just somewhere to sit. That's if you have any staff. It's not essential. This bit here is also sectioned off for staff only. It's just got the fuse box and the water heater. Everything else is public. Oh no, tell a lie, sorry. The food court area, that is also sectioned off, staff only. It should keep everyone out that's not staff. If worst comes to worst, just lock that there, open door or gate, whatever it is, and you can then, you lock it for everyone except family, and then go into allow access to, and you can just select employees. That way everybody else should stay out. It should work on its own though, but I'll playtest this before I upload it just to make sure everything works the way it should. So, right, quick tour. Let's get rid of this grid actually, so we can actually see what we're looking at. Right, we have the reception area with the check-in well, it's not the check-in desk, but it's going to be the check-in for this particular lot. The shelves here, you can stack stuff on there for selling, either stuff that you make, or my advice, find crystals or, you know, things that you can go foraging and just dig up stuff. Anything that you find, stick up there to sell, because it hasn't cost you a penny. It'll be 100% profit, and if you mark up the prices, it'll be even more than that. There's a dumpster there, the woohoo closet. You have the playground area, a nice selection of little things to do. Upstairs, let's see if we can get a better look at that now that it's not zooming round. So you have your television, radio, books. Like I said, it's all pretty basic, but covers most of the needs. Oh, what is going on with this camera? Yeah, the kids' room. So there's the table that can be switched out quite easily. In fact, all of this could be switched out, but you know, it doesn't have to be for kids. It could be teens. It could be anything. You get the void critters there, which I think I've only used once or twice in all the years that I've had it. I might actually need to start playing with some stuff that's in the game, because I tend to just stick with the same things all the time, like the doll's house. There is also a friendship bracelet thing in there, so there's a few activities for the kids to do. And of course the computer. The main bedroom, again, basic, does the job though. I think it works. I mean, the colour scheme, start again. Those curtains do kind of tie in with this particular bed. I quite like. It's not a perfect match, but it works. And since we can see it from there, let's go over to the entertainment area. So obviously, bowling alley needs no explanation. There is the foosball, the television with the games console. Don't wake the llama. Yeah, and the dartboard. So there's a few things there to keep people busy. Some basic toilets. No need for them to be fancy. Now, this one is probably the most basic of the caravans, because the furniture in here is the cheapest base game stuff that was there. It's just not going to be the comfortable option, put it that way. I mean, even the decor in this one was pretty plain. It was just, I don't know, I think by the time I got around to this one, I was just kind of wanting to get it all done and get them, like I say, I was so tempted to just make them all the same, just to get them done quickly, but then I thought, no, that's not really fair. I need to kind of put some effort in, so I went around and I made them a little bit different. I mean, like I say, the basic design is the same for all of them, but that was the floor plan, you know, I was taking that from an actual floor plan. The layout of the furniture is slightly different, different comfort levels. So here we've got the orange and green, I quite liked, kind of ties in with that rug. And all this stuff in here. Again, I'll play test all this before I upload it. If there's anything that needs to get changed or whatever, I'll let you know. Again, nice little matchy almost. I've tried to kind of keep the curtains match the room, just the same as you would in your own house, really. So like I said, there's nothing fancy with these, but I just thought I would let you see them all, because obviously I cut these out of the speed build. This one's a bit more basic in terms of, you know, how it looks. It's the basic beds and that, same as the first one. But I thought it looked a bit more run down because I've used the worn carpet. and the dirty linoleum. And my plan, and when I was thinking of the backstory, was like this was the first one that they had, and it's never been updated at all. So that's why it's still got all the sort of old stuff in it. This one, by contrast, is quite nice and modern looking, and I actually quite like this one. It's quite neutral, quite plain, but it's comfortable beds, nicely decorated. Well, I think it's nicely decorated, but then I might be slightly biased. And the other caravan, this is the other 3-bedroom one. And you may have noticed that this one and, which one now? Yeah, this one. These two have cribs in them. I was going to say cots, because that's what we call it over here. But in game it's called a crib, I think, isn't it? So that's so if you're bringing toddlers here, you know, there's somewhere for them to sleep. Well, if I remember right, they can actually crawl up onto the couch and go to sleep. So yeah, that's pretty much it then. Made this one a wee bit more colourful, so just for a change. You see, they're all pretty similar, but they're not identical. So hopefully you have fun with this if you download it. I hope you like it. If you play, let me know how you get on with it. I think I'll be taking my Sims here on holiday. If you would like to see any more of my builds, then feel free to subscribe. I try and get one up a week, at least for just now, but we'll see how it goes, because I'm still working and this is just something that I do in my spare time. And if you want to download it, you can also have a look at my other builds while you're there. Might be something else you like. So I will shut up now and go away and give you peace. I'll let you get on with your day. I hope you have a decent day, and I will catch you later. Cheery bye. I'm just jumping back in here quickly to point out a couple of things. I've played it for, I think it's 3 in-game days now. So a couple of things to point out. The lunch boxes in the kitchen, where are we? Yeah, these things here. Apparently they're not working, and I don't know why. I haven't really used them before, so I'm not sure if it's a glitch with that, or if maybe I'm doing something wrong with them. Maybe you've got to put food into them or something, I don't know, but I couldn't get those to work because I played it as a customer and as the business owner. So from the customer point of view, those aren't working. You can't get any food from them. You can use the cereal boxes, you can use the cookie jar, and you can use the kettle. Those work. The shopping bag, you would have to buy groceries in it. You can open it the same as you do with the fridge, but it's empty, so that's fine. But to be fair, you don't want that anyway. You want the customers to be buying the food from the food court. And on that note, it does work. It is sectioned off. It's employees only. None of the guests were going in, which was good. The food sales, it did work, but they weren't buying a lot, so I don't know if they were eating from the cereal boxes or not. But they weren't buying a lot of the food, but some of them did buy, so it does work. It's just not a huge success. Same with the gift shop. I did have that stocked with a few items, and it took 2 days to clear one shelf unit. So it does work. It's not going to be a huge money earner. I got hit with bills in the first couple of days, and that was just under 5,000. So yeah, you're going to need to have a little bit of starting capital to get going with this one, I think. But after her 3 days in game, let's just show you. she's up to a 3-star business already and didn't really do much. You know, she greeted a couple of customers as their trade, where are we? Just to be friendly and clean and managed. So there wasn't a lot going on there, you know, but so she managed, you can get the business up quite good. They do use the beds. I've changed, I've changed these settings. I didn't have the swimming one in. That was originally bathe and shower. What was that? But I noticed that they weren't using the swimming pool. The guests weren't swimming. They weren't using the kiddie pool either, even although that is listed under the summer activities. So I changed the bathe and shower one for swimming, and they did start using the pool. I don't know if it maybe just needs a few days to get running before people start doing stuff. But it was just to kind of let you know, full transparency. I'll always be honest with you guys. If something's not working, I'll tell you it's not working. Okay? These are the settings that I've had. You will need to put these in yourself if you download the game, or pick totally different ones, I don't know. But I'm just letting you know, these are the ones I've picked. They do seem to be working. It's not a huge money maker at the moment, but like I say, she's only been open for 3 days. So yeah, it does work. It just needs time. So if you do download it, have fun. Let me know how you get on, and I will catch you later. See you, bye. Okay, that's me. I am done. No more talking for the rest of the week.